Where is Connecticut School of Broadcasting?
So Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting is a
little coaster, thank you.
it's an affiliate, I guess, school. They have them like branches all over the Northeast, and it's more of like a trade school.
Okay.
So you're learning everything hands-on every day by radio hosts. So that was like my first stint out of high school, right? Like,
And did you enjoy it?
I fucking loved it because, for me, I'm not like trying to boost my own, but I feel like I'm a person that's learns by doing.
Yeah.
School was not for me. I was very ADD, and I didn't think about so it's a crazy long story, but 9/11 happens, and then I'm old. So 9/11 happens, and
I remember 9/11.
No, but that's when I was graduating high school. So
doing the math.
2001.
Now I'm doing the math. No.
Yeah. So then I was planning on maybe going to Israel because that's where my family is from. That's where I'm from originally. And obviously after 9/11, I was like, let me stay around here. And I started going, I was like, all right, let me find something that'll ring with who I am instead of just wasting money.
Yeah, a little resonance.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to be in sports broadcasting or be involved in sports on some facet. And my athletic ability wasn't really the way I was going to do it. Hence why I'm good at jiu-jitsu, because you don't have to be athletic to be good at jiu-jitsu.
Let me just put everybody on record real quick. He is good at jiu-jitsu. He beats my ass every time we roll.
No offense, you're still a white belt.
Yeah, it's not that hard, right? He's like, he's still doing this dumb shit. Okay, great. Flip.
Exactly. But you'll learn over time,
Yeah.
And your athletic ability will make it helpful for you to get better leverage in certain situations where I'm a big guy and I have to really use my strength, but wedging myself under someone where you're a little smaller, a little more athletic, you can get on.
I'd say it. I'm short.
You are shorter than myself.
It's a good connection with the elbow to knee. I'm real tight like that.
Exactly. So anyway, so I started doing that, and then I really enjoyed doing that. But there's no money in broadcasting in the beginning of your career.
Yeah, it takes years and years.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it take Howard Stern to really start making loot?
God.
What was he working at? Some shitty radio station?
So many shitty.
Upstate New York or something like that?
Detroit, upstate New York, I'm sure Washington, D.C. he did, I remember. So, it wasn't really for me. And at the time, my mom had actually moved to Mexico to work for a huge jewelry company. And so she's like, come down here, make some money, take a break, from the industry, I guess, because obviously it's very stressful. My house was being sold at the time, the house that I grew up in. So I was like, all right, let me give it a try. So I went to move to Cozumel, Mexico. And at 19, I was selling jewelry, $10,000 pieces of jewelry to people coming off cruise ships.
That authentic jewelry, real pieces,
diamonds, tanzanite.
That was always that was always my question when I see those spots at the touristy off the cruise ship type spots. Yeah. Is the jewelry real? That's what I always. My dad bought a Baume & Mercier watch in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
and I have it, and every time I look at it, I go, I don't even know if this fucking thing is
probably real.
Okay,
yeah, most of those are come with a certificate of authenticity. So I did that, and then I was like, all right, this is. It's kind of like a fun lifestyle because you're living in Mexico. You're in your, turning 20, and there's a lot of young other people around, and Carlos and Charlie's and Senor Frogs every day.
Where you going with this story?
So you learn to adapt to the situation, right?
Yeah.
That's I think.
And you probably had a great tan all the time.
Oh, dude, it was great.
Looking cinnamon.
Yeah. So adaptation is my biggest strength, I think. And so there was a lot of, the company was owned by Israeli family. And so one of the cousins was around my age, and he had traveled, after the army, a lot of Israelis like the kid, they'll decompress by going to travel around the world. It's very popular. You know, you're going and you're serving in the military, and then you want to go and see the world a little bit before you start your education. And so all these guys that were a group of friends from Tel Aviv, Israel, had come to live in Cozumel and work at the company. So when I came, it was immediately like blending in and being able to like make friends. And I wasn't really speaking Hebrew as much growing up here because most of my friends obviously spoke English. Mm-hmm. But you know, it allowed me to rework my verbal skills in Hebrew. And so one of the general managers in an area called Costa Maya, he was like one of my neighbors in the complex we were all living in. It was literally like Melrose Place, like an outdoor complex. Everyone's in their early 20s and 30s. And like you walk outside, you get on your scooter, you drive to work.
And this is in Mexico?
Yeah, in Cozumel. Beautiful. The most gorgeous island you'll ever live on.
I visited Cozumel on a cruise one time, but I was young.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to like actually understand it or really see what it was like. You know, all I remember is super blue, crystal blue water, and it was just amazing. I feel like a lot of people have a very misconstrued idea of what Mexico actually looks like, you know, because I don't know if it's the picture that's painted by governments or what have you, or just news stories.
Well, tourist companies, you know.
Yeah, tourist companies. So I don't, you know, you hear, because I have another buddy, Anthony, who is a barber up here, and he has spent a lot of time going back down to Mexico, and he says it's unbelievable, beautiful. He loves living down there. So then you start hearing all these stories of people that actually do it, and you go, something's not adding up, because I'm told that it's not that great. People are saying it's awesome.
Well, I guess it depends where in Mexico. So Cozumel is an island. So first of all, there's no crime, or very, very, very little crime. There's no major crimes because you can't go anywhere.
It's like Cheers. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah, literally. So, you know, obviously there's the main strip, like the main avenue where all the touristy things are. And then you go into like the island itself, and you know, you have like your rotisserie chicken places and the taco places that you pay like 30 cents a taco.
Dude, and it's
I don't know what the exchange rate now, but I'm sure
it's probably
still,
60.
Yeah, exactly.
Still, double, damn.
Probably still pretty cheap.
60, 70.
I mean, bro, I was living in a 2-story flat, and it was like $450 a month rent. Man. It was out of control. Like sick, like huge, over 1,000 square feet.
That's dope.
It was amazing. Like 5 streets from the beach.
That's awesome, man.
Just get on your moped. 2 minutes later, you're at the beach.
Super cool that you guys experienced that.
Yeah. So what leads me to now, the next thing is now I got offered to go to Alaska, which is where like all the biggest ticket items go, because the cruise ships only go there from May until September, and the cruise ships cost like the cost per ticket is insane.
Back then,
just
still
now I can't even imagine. But like,
what's a popular? Is it Alaska cruise?
So let's go in mid-July, and let's go Norwegian Cruise Lines.
Norwegian, that's right.
Or Holland America. You're probably going to pay close to $5,000 a cabin.
And that's for like the regular basic. Cabin.
Yeah, I had a customer, they were paying like $30,000 a night for their cabin. There's like cruise ships that have just outdoor cabins, no like interior.
Mad cold.
Well, it's not that bad. It rains. Oh my God.
What is it? Juneau, Alaska is like the main
So
hub?
Ketchikan, Skagway, and Juneau are like, it's called the Inner Passage.
Oh yeah, I'm looking right now. Glacier Bay, Skagway, and Juneau.
Yeah.
From Seattle, Washington, 7-day cruise. It was $1,075. And now it's $699.
Well, now you're getting like a week, a night, or a week?
That's for
per person.
Oh, that'd be per person. Yeah, but that's for a sailing June to October.
Okay. Listen, it is.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, where are we? We're in early June, I guess. Now is the season.
Yeah, free at sea up to $3,400 off. So I guess that's why. Probably no one's fucking traveling.
Yeah,
right now. No one's going to Alaska right now. $479, bro. I might just have to fuck around.
Yeah,
with Alaska.
it's beautiful, dude.
Yeah,
it's so. If I was gonna take a cruise, like to see like eagles and glaciers. Oh man, definitely. Like
You feel like you're in another land, like actually just another dimension.
Completely different world. It's so different. Like here, how we have pigeons, that's how there's eagles.
There's eagles hanging out
everywhere. Like
I prefer the eagles over the rats with wings.
Like here, you go on a walk and there's deer. There you go on a walk and there's bear.
Nah, that's the one thing I'm not messing. I'm not messing with a bear. I'm not doing it.
But it's definitely something else. So
you got the offer to potentially go up to Alaska.
So I went up to Alaska, and then we were rebuilding this location, Ketchikan, that had been used. Like, so the company had 30 locations all over the Caribbean, St. Thomas, St. Martin, all over the Virgin Islands.
And this is the
jewelry company.
The jewelry company that sells.
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
High-end watches, high-end diamonds, everything. So they brought us to Ketchikan to like re-blossom the location. So they gave us like insane pieces, brand new showcases. So we're like putting this all together, and they were like grouping us as salespeople, like with other people to like put showcases together or count jewelry or put displays together, whatever was needed to, you're opening up a brand new jewelry store. And the person they grouped me with was this gentleman named Bay, who was from Senegal, Africa. But when he was young, he had moved to France, learned how to become a chef, and then became a chef down in the Virgin Islands because his cousin was the jeweler. So his cousin, who was like the sickest jeweler I've ever seen, man, this guy could mount a diamond in an hour, like nothing. You bring him in, like the people are like getting on the ship and you're making like a last minute sale and you're like, Abdu, I need you to mount this now. And he's like, bro, I'm busy. I'm like, no. They're on the,
please.
Yeah. In like 2 seconds, he's like, and this guy's fingers, bro, were completely torn apart from like,
oh, I'm sure.
Obviously doing the gold, and he didn't give a shit. Man.
Tradesmen, anybody that is in a trade like that, you just tell. Like dudes that work in plumbing, dudes that work on construction sites, everyone's got very distinct hands.
Okay, so now I'll tell you, my biggest sale in the company history was a 34 karat yellow diamond and 124 karat tanzanite.
And so, for reference, give me a breakdown of what that cost.
The sale was $870,000.
Damn. And they're just coming off of a cruise?
Yeah.
Someone just coming off a cruise, just spending $800,000?
This woman had like 6 carats in each ear and like 5 carat stones in each.
That amazes me. What is the lure to just buy expensive items when you already just dropped loot to? I mean, listen, take away from the fact that there are some people that just have stupid money and the disposable income is insane. It's like what my salary for a year is. Like there's like, fuck around and just spend this and this, and you're just whoa, man. But I don't know, even like in my dad's situation, my dad was an iron worker. He didn't really, have loot like that, but he bought a bomber Mercier. I remember it being like at least $2,000 to $3,000 on a trip to the Bahamas. It's like, damn, man.
If I could tell you, some people spend money like it.
And were these people like hard sales, or did you?
No, she was the easiest sale I've ever had. Okay, so you have to understand, this is a woman that has gigantic jewelry, right?
It's blinged out.
So she had 6 carat D flawless, which was like the best characteristics you can have for color and clarity for a diamond. 6 carats is obviously
sounds like the kind of woman that asks for a blood diamond. She's like, I don't want the blood free diamonds.
I don't think she gives a shit.
She don't give a shit.
I think she just wants size.
Her earlobes are crying with having to keep that rock in there.
I bet.
So you say
you see that, you see that, and you're like, big gaudy jewelry. One thing that I would say separated me from a lot of the other salespeople is the fact that I come from New York, from Long Island. I grew up around all kinds of people with money, people without money, people of different color.
Melting pot of society.
So it was easy to connect with random people coming off cruise ships. And so that first, shell cracking that was fairly easier for me than most people. And so big ticket items, I wasn't scared. I would like literally just take them. We had a $11 million pink diamond. Okay.
11 million pink diamond.
Yeah, it was.
And now when a diamond is pink like that, is it naturally pink? Or
so it's naturally
infused?
Pink. No.
Okay.
Natural pink. If infused, you're paying like.
I don't even know
like a couple of $1,000. Yeah, no, you can infuse color into anything.
Okay.
So you're talking like multi-million-dollar piece, right? So now you're taking that and you're just putting it on someone's finger and you're like, hey, you're wearing, 10 million, 11 million. You don't give them that kind of price because they'll have a heart attack, but you're wearing a multi-million-dollar piece. Like, how does that feel? And, even though they have that kind of money, they've never experienced that kind of thing. Well, now you're like giving them an experience, right? Which is what it's all about for, if that's why they're on the cruise. Now you're giving them like a memory for life. And now they're going to be like much more open to spending big money with you, right? Because now you've created a connection with this person. And
you're also anchoring the price too.
Yeah.
It's like a sales tactic too.
Correct.
Anchoring high to have them think about that price and be like, whoa, okay. And, you get it out of the way right then and there. And now they're thinking about what do I have to do to get this, or what can I do to try to haggle and this and that. And now I at least know the price.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting sales tactic of just throwing the number out there. It's same thing with like services.
Yeah.
Someone says, you just go, well, this usually costs X. What did you have in mind? And then, oh, well, that's the number that they're going to keep thinking about now. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're better off trying to start high and then work your way down. And then also, you show someone something like that, and then they can be like, oh, this guy's got some serious hardware I can work with. And I can tell you that I've sold this guy who was a landscaper out in California. I did this similar thing with him. He had this gigantic yin yang diamond ring.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, this guy's got
it.
Yeah. So I pulled like a 15 karat stone out and showed him that. And then he's like, oh, honey, boom, boom, boom. And I got him for $300K.
Damn.
Like, this guy bought a 5 karat diamond, two 2-carat diamond earrings, a 4-carat diamond bracelet. Like,
you had him with the credit card scanner. You're like, and you do what?
Yeah, landscaping.
Landscaping?
Yeah, landscaping.
Got a lot more lawns to cut, brother. That's gonna be crazy.
So then because of that success, myself and then a couple of other of those salespeople, we got moved into this region in Mexico because the Alaska season is exactly that. It's a season. So in October, they take everyone out and they move them to the Caribbean for January to April. So you get like a month break in between.
Oh man, you just had the best of both.
It was really nice. So then I went to this area and we had a ton of success there. And this guy, Bay, ended up coming to live with me. And like the food that he would make was just out of control. Like I would be sleeping because we would work 4 days and then rest for 3 days. He would like take chickens and like break them down and make stocks and sauces from scratch and like go fishing and bring back shrimp. And
there's the dude with the French background.
Yes. So I learned how to like really put food together. Fast forward multiple years now, living with him like back and forth in Alaska and Mexico. I'm in Alaska and I dislocate my shoulder and I just completely wreck it. And
how did that happen?
Went for a loose ball and someone dove on my arm and just completely detached out.
Oh man.
Fucking still to this day, this fucking wrecks. Anyway, so I started taking a ton of anti-inflammatories because I was working. I was in Alaska for work. So
did you have the sling?
Oh my God, it was so bad, bro. I couldn't even put I'd have to like put a collared shirt on. It was just miserable. And my bosses didn't care. Like I'm one of the top salespeople
they want you out there, man.
Yeah, they need me.
You're only as good as your last sale.
Exactly. As anything, So I started, pumping myself with ibuprofen and all these, painkillers to help ease the pain, but it ruined my stomach. I couldn't eat anything I would eat. Fucking would come. I would like be in a fucking huge sale, and mid sale, I'd run to the bathroom to go throw up because literally anything I.
Now I was gonna say, was it actually just throw up coming up, or was it like the lining of your esophagus?
Yeah, so
like a heartburn.
Yeah,
situation.
So what it's called is malabsorption. So the gland in my stomach that produces acid wasn't producing the acid to burn the food. So So like some food was digesting and through my intestines.
And it would just sit there like a
But-
rock,
yeah.
like food, and then it would wind up coming right back up.
Correct. So
That's not fun.
No, it was.
That's not fun.
It got to the point where I started to, blood started to come up, and so that's where I was like, you know what, no amount of money is worth it, and I like literally just left Alaska. I told my bosses, and they weren't happy about that.
I'm sure.
And so I went home, got all the testing.
Which might I add though, real quick, it does suck that they didn't understand that, because it's like, how many years did you work with them, and that you put 150% in?
Dude.
And just because like you're having some serious medical problems, they don't want to lose their guy from selling for them. But it's like, yo, I have to take care of me.
Yeah. Because I literally couldn't sell, dude. I was like in the bathroom multiple times a day. It was pretty brutal. But that's where, okay. So and then I started to like realize this is not going to be long term, just because of the people that I'm with, right? The environment. So I went back to Mexico. I did another season, and during that season was when everything changed. So one of my best friends from high school, his sister was murdered like in cold blood while she was in school in Arizona. And so I was in Mexico and watching a movie, and I get a phone call, and I'm like, holy shit, what do I do here? And like 3 days go by, and like no sleep, just thinking about, what I'm supposed to do. And so eventually I'm like, again, at this point I'm like managing one of the superstores in the company in Cozumel. And so I'm responsible for like 20 plus employees and, $5 million plus of goods. So, you don't just put in any manager for that. And so I bounced. I came home. That was like the right thing for me to do. I couldn't call my friend to say sorry, I had to see him and like hold him. And his dad had a very like high-end jewelry store on Fifth Avenue that like clients like Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, the CEO of CVS Pharmacy, like big time clients. And like I come back after like 4 years of not living in New York, or like just coming visit short, and I haven't seen like all these people so long. And it's like come into this house like to pay Shiva call, and like this is how you're seeing all these people that you grew up with and haven't seen in 4 years. And like it's like the most bittersweet experience. And then her dad's like, oh, I want you to hit more. He's like, I want you to come. Sorry.
You're whispering. I was looking. I'm like, I want to make sure your levels are good. I was like, he's whispering.
But it's a dark and ominous story.
Hey, it's okay.
It's all about storytelling.
It's the broadcast. It's the broadcast. You're doing good.
So in short, he offers me a job to come work for him in the city. And then like at that time, I already kind of knew that I wanted to start going to culinary school.
Now, was it the reason you wanted to go to culinary school because of the guy that you were rooming with in the Caribbean?
Yes. And also, I was having such digestive issues that I needed to learn how to eat, like how to, and which leads me, I'll talk about it later, but like how to cut weight, how to help your food be more digestible. And so through that process of going to culinary school and learning how protein breakdowns work and things of that nature, I started to, test recipes at home. And at the time, that's when I started training martial arts also. Because when I'd come home, so I have a half sister and half brother who are 15 and 16 years younger than me. And so when I'd come home, I was in my early 20s, 24. So they were like 9, 10 years old. And so they were doing karate at a local karate school. And I would, chaperone them around. And the guy that owned the karate school was like a super high level black belt from South Africa. This guy, Warren Levy, multiple time national, like Pan American champion.
Cool.
And he's like, come train with me. So I was like, all right, let me give it a try.
Sure. Why not?
Why not? I had nothing. I was living already so far. I had disconnected from my friends for not completely disconnected, but it's not the same when you're not spending that kind of time with them. They had gone to traditional colleges and done the traditional let's get fucked up in college, and figure out our lives afterwards. But, I had already done that, figuring out like, okay, I'm going to be working towards that food, thing. And so while going to culinary school, I was working for my dad, who had like a shipping store in the Five Towns. And we would have the Food Network on all day long. And everyone would come in, who watches the Food Network? And I would talk to the customers. And then it's a very religious area, so they also have food restrictions. And I started to like talk to people. And eventually I started like a small private cooking service. And I would, do Shabbat dinners or small bar mitzvahs or parties that people paid me pretty nice money for. I'd come in, do 2-3 hours worth of work.
And you're bringing all the food and everything, and you're doing the prep work.
Everything there. I don't have to like, rent out a place. And it was working out. I was training martial arts. I was working for my dad a little bit. I was going to school, so I was, dabbling in a little bit of everything.
And this is karate, not BJJ.
This was karate.
Okay.
This shortly after I started BJJ.
Okay.
Because
what was the reason that you switched from karate to BJJ?
So I was walking across the street on a rainy day, and some guy like ran over the curb, kind of like, making a turn, hit the curb and almost hit me. So I like banged the car and was like, what the fuck? And so the guy came out of the car.
Isn't that funny? He's the one who fucked up. Yeah, you're the problem. Saying, bro, you almost hit me.
Yeah, like you almost killed me.
Yeah, you almost killed me. How dare you tell me what I did wrong?
Exactly.
Get out of the car.
He's like a small guy like you. He's got a little complex.
Complex? That's crazy. I'm going to leave. Y'all can listen.
So, it's wet, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to fucking head kick the fuck out of this guy.
Oh, shit.
But it's wet, so if like I slip, what's gonna happen?
Hit your head backwards.
Whatever. He's gonna jump on top of me. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
We get into a little verbal argument. It ends. He goes on his way. I go my way. The second I get into the office, I start looking up Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and watching videos and learning about, and literally like 4 stores down from my dad's store was like a Gracie certified training center. Now I know how a lot of people perceive like the online Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
I'm a white belt, so I don't know any of these. I don't know any of these rumors. I started at Serra's and I'm just hanging there now.
No, it's they're monetizing jiu-jitsu as best as they can, which is fair play, but it was, and I will say, like, they have a great foundation for understanding concepts of jiu-jitsu. You're going to learn basic concepts that are going to help you, how to retain guard, how to mount somebody, how to maintain the mount. But it wasn't like I was learning the DVDs online. It was like at a school.
Yeah, you were at an actual physical location.
Exactly. So you're still like getting partner. You're still getting real work. And then it became where I was just, beating up everybody. And then the karate place started a jiu-jitsu like MMA class, like a no-gi class. So I was like, all right, let me do that too. Cool. So I started going there. But there was like taught by a purple belt, which was, at the time, look, you're talking 12, 13 years ago. Purple belt was like a big deal.
Yeah.
So it was like good technique, But again, I started to like be more dominant there. And I was training this kid from Queens who was a professional fighter who happened to be training under Matt and Ray.
Oh, sick.
And he didn't really vibe with the crowd, I guess.
At Matt and Ray's spot?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit, his expectations weren't met, which sometimes when we set expectations for things, we can get disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about how something's supposed to be. And it's like, oh, that's the reality is not so much.
I thought I'd be a brown belt by now.
Well, you got you're a shitty belt. You are a shitty belt. You're a shitty white belt.
I thought I'd be a brown belt by now.
Yeah. That's the only shit is that's
I'm trying to get a coral belt, but I just got to keep bleeding on the white belt and eventually it'll turn red.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So Yeah, so so this guy kind of like gave me like the motivation, kind of go train at Matt's. Like I'm like, how bad could it be? Like let me go see what this is about. So, that intersected with me opening up my gym in Belmore, which was very close to the Levittown location. And so it was easy. Like I would coach classes in the morning and then I would go train in the afternoon class, or I would do the morning class and then go work with my clients, like depending on my schedule for the morning. And, it was really nice because Sarah's had like a really nice openings for afternoons or morning classes or night classes. The night classes I didn't start to do till obviously the gym had been more of a functioning business. But, just working with like all, now is not as much, unfortunate. It is what it is. But, back in the day, we're talking 5 years ago before COVID, Levittown was like, MMA, all the guys were trained there. Aljo, Al, Matt, Vola, Weidman, Marab. I mean, every Tuesday night was like Jason Rao, Nick Ronan, Anthony Pal. I mean, like endless
big names that are just
Slim,
dominant at what
Pete
they do.
Sell, just guests, Stipe Miocic. It just never ended. It was when you talk about humility, like you want to talk about humility and humbling yourself, you walk into Sarah's on a Tuesday night at Levittown and you will be humbled. Guaranteed. And so, like, you learn, right? You're going to learn.
Well, listen, man, when I first started, I saw no other white belt do what I did, which was I was at every mixed class.
Yes.
I was at every mixed class intentionally.
100%.
And then once I heard about the comp class, not that I don't have an intention of competing. I'm just more nervous so about injuries in a competition. Because if a dude's going to go 110%, I have to match that energy. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, why am I here?
Of course.
So now if he's going to do 110, I got to go 110. He's not going to give a fuck about letting me tap at certain. No. Most dudes are not going to. They're not going to be respectful about that shit. So it's like you have to just have that mindset. But even though I didn't have those, thoughts of doing that yet, Gary doing the Sunday competition class, I said, all right, let's go get thrown into the fire. Like, I know I'm going to get my ass kicked, but it is what it is. And it's funny because I see the drop-off rate from people that join the gym to just like, you don't see people anymore. And I look around sometimes and I go, where's everybody that I started with? Like, I see maybe 3 or 4 people that I started with. And I look around and I go, I've only been here for a little over a year now, a year and a month. I'm like, what happens to people in that 4-year, 5-year span? They don't need... from people that started 5 years ago is what I'm saying. Like, they just life. I think life is a lot of it, but I also think going back to humbling.
Yeah,
I think that is a big thing. Like another dude that I know, shouts to Rishi. He's the homie. He said he used to train at Matt's for a long time doing jiu-jitsu, and he said that place has a very, very funny, great way of weeding out people that don't belong in that type of field. Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with the people that don't want to admit that they got tapped or don't want to admit that. I'm like, bro, I rolled with Anthony, Gary one night, Trotta, a couple of guys. Bro, I got tapped like 30 times, 40 times in one night. And Anthony was probably 20 of them. Yeah. So, and I put that online. I went, I learned. Cool. Like, it is what it is. Like, am I sore as shit? Without question. Does my neck feel great? Yeah, they cracked me this way. At least somebody cranked me the other way. Get me right back into alignment. Do something. But I went into this understanding the mindset that I'm not the baddest dude. No. I'm not the baddest dude.
As long as you go to Sarah's, you never will be.
No, I'm not the baddest dude. I'm not going to be. But listen, if I can give some people a run for their money and I can learn as I do it, great. And I think I've done a decent job at doing that so far. But like you said, it's a long journey. Yeah.
And I would say, don't even think about giving people a run for their money. Think about just being able to survive against some of the most dangerous people.
I think about Robert Downey Jr. all the time in Tropic Thunder. Survive. That's every time in the back of my head when someone's choking me out. Survive. I'm like, come on, I'm
breathe.
I can't. He's choking me.
Yeah. So,
but I agree without question.
Those are the moments, though, Nick, that when you're being mounted or being choked and you have, like, you understand that you're actually safe, but it's just so uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And when you can be like, okay, slow down, let me, get an underhook, get a frame, whatever that needs.
Yeah, try to almost get like my feet coiled up to try to do like a bridge or
Whatever
something.
it is.
I try. There's plenty of situations where I try, and I understand that. And I've said this to a lot of people that are thinking about joining. It's like the first time somebody takes your back and like puts their arm around your throat, that primal instinct of just going, whoa, whoa, kicks in.
For sure.
But then after the 3rd, 4th, 10th, 20th, you're just kind of like, okay, let me see if I can work my way out of this. And you feel comfortable because when God forbid you ever have to actually use the shit.
Correct.
Now you're just like, oh, okay, I've been here before like 1,000 times. Okay, Here we go. Butt to the floor. You're trying to figure things out.
Yeah. What I was just going to say on top of that, I teach a small program in East Rockaway by me because I do live a little bit far from the academy. So, I wanted my son to start training jiu-jitsu. And so I started a jiu-jitsu program in one of the martial arts schools near my house. And one of my guys, this guy, Jason, I told him last night, so proud of him because in the beginning he would second he would be in a bad position. He would just tap so fast. And, last night he was put into rear naked chokes, triangles, etc., because we've been working defenses. And you could see the confidence level in his ability to stay calm.
Yeah.
That just to be confident in yourself that you won't overreact in a situation is huge. Owning a gym for many years, I had people, obviously come in after a full day and sometimes they're dehydrated or their blood sugar is low and now they're doing a HIIT circuit or lifting heavy weight, like deadlifting, and, they black out or they pass out quick, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And you start to realize it's just because their ability to manage stress was so poor that when the body started to
getting overloaded
stimuli or
correct. Stressors, issues,
immediately it shut down. Versus I would, immediately okay, let's grab a cold compress, stand him up, get his breathing regulated, stuff like that, where I think that's what jiu-jitsu teaches you, is how to stay calm under certain situations like that.
It's been a lot of times where, even with rolling with you, truthfully, and when I rolled with Johnny twice last week, Johnny's a savage. He's so good.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
He embarrasses me and I'm twice his size.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm rolling with Johnny, and even when I roll with you, there are certain positions that I'll get into where he was doing, I don't know the choke name. I'm still trying to remember half the shit, but it's like when they grab underneath, not a bread cutter, but
baseball bat.
It might be a bread cutter then, where he comes around the side like that.
Yes, that is a bread cutter.
So he was doing a bread cutter to me, but he was doing it slow, trying to just he would just, every time I'd buck a little bit, he would just sink it a little slower. But even when I'm sometimes someone will be on top of me and they'll start going for the choke around the neck and your head's kind of out to the side, but you're losing your ability to breathe slowly. Having the wherewithal to just go, chill, it's all good, because there are certain times where your breathing starts to become compromised and you start to have that not anxiety attack, but that
reaction, the fight or flight. Yeah.
And you just have to kind of just bring it back down and talk yourself off the ledge yo, you're good. The second that you go, you're out of it. So just see what you could do. And the second it starts getting a little dark, okay, we're good.
For sure.
The second the lights start looking like someone didn't pay the bill.
So speaking to that, through your journey, there will be breaks, So during COVID, obviously I had to take a small break. So when I first came back to Serra's, I was going up against this guy, Pete, one of the purple belts, and he put me in a cross collar choke, and I was passing his guard, and I was completely disrespecting the collar choke. I knew it was there. I just
you're just fuck it. I'm gonna just
and all of a sudden I see the lights start closing on me, and I'm
you're oh my god, it's someone turn on the lights.
Yeah, oops, my bad. I'm that won't happen again. Yeah. So, but that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. You learn to adapt in all kinds of different situations, and going back to so having the gym, COVID comes and I had to shut everything down. I had the option to maintain my facility and pay the rent, which I was like, no thanks. Let me close up and then I can reassess the situation.
Were they jacking your rent up at all?
So it wasn't that he had jacked my rent up. So what happened was when COVID, so I have friends in places in the government, Homeland Security. So when COVID started to happen, communication with those people started to open up real fast.
I'm sure.
And
that's what I'd be doing.
Well, through certain people, I found out that, hey, this is going to be like at least 90 days.
Yeah.
Don't expect anything less.
It's not going to be 2 weeks to slow the spread.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little while.
Yeah. And I was always I was always on time with my rent, and I had a clause in my lease that allowed me to exit my lease as long as I was, continuously paying, and it's called a good guy clause.
Yep. I have that with my rent. I made sure, especially with after COVID and everything like that, I'm like, yeah, man, we got to have that in there.
Absolutely.
And then of course the landlord comes back. They're like, well, if you give us 3 months of notice and this and that, I'm just like, hey man, shit gets crazy like that again. I'm packing everything up and I'm leaving. You'll never hear from me again, bro.
Exactly.
I'm like, I pay my shit on time, but like something like that, the world ending like in that way again, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not playing around.
Yeah.
So I had, like, as soon as the government was like, all right, March 19th, gyms will be closed. So I called my landlord that day. I'm like, look, I'm just letting you know ahead of time. I will not allow myself to get into like some kind of 3 or 4 months back-ended rent where now I owe you $20,000 and I haven't had the ability to bring income in. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I won't do that to you. We'll figure something out. And then...
Now, nothing against him as a human being, but dude, everyone's got to look out for themselves sometimes. You will expect that money. Let's be totally honest. You're not going to be like, hey, man, you're just a good guy. Fuck it. Like, we're good. It's like, nah, you're not going to do that. You're going to expect that money at some point.
So right off the bat, and this is where, again, going back to communication being super important. This is something I learned from my coach. Like, communication is everything. And I was consistently throughout the whatever they call it, the pause, communicating with him that like, hey, here's the situation. Like I will, I don't want to be paying you X, Y, and Z. And again, he's like, don't worry about it. We'll make whatever necessary arrangements. And then June, when everything started to open up again, and gyms were supposed to be in like phase 4. And then like nothing. Yeah. And they were like, everything's open except gyms.
Yeah, interesting.
The next day he calls me. He's like, what do you want to do? Because this is not, he's like, if you want, you could pay me the next 4 months. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'll get my stuff out by the end of the week.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm a fit young lad.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I called a bunch of my clients. They got a fucking truck for Home Depot and I put everything in my garage. And now I coach all these clients out of my garage.
Oh, you still do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
absolutely. Cool. Yeah. So like being at Serra's.
Not to jump skip, but I was like, so you still do? That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
I don't know if you maybe got a new location. That's why I said.
Yeah. So, I think that's going to be coming in the near future because of now things are really starting to bloom nicely.
Love that.
One thing that when I had my gym, I was always helping people with recipes, obviously from my culinary background and how to bring, and not just my culinary background, but my issues with digestion, and over time, like I understood, like, hey, there's certain underlining things that most people are dealing with that you can, triage with certain things, and you're gonna get a huge, small hinges swing big doors kind of effect. And so when I started to do that, you get a good buy-in, right? Like it's like you tell someone, hey, start taking fish oil more regularly because it's going to help you. Or, something that maybe most people don't use is black cumin seed oil, right? So black cumin seed oil, super high anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antibacterial, super, super effective for performance.
Does it have to be the cold pressed one?
No, I use an oil that's not, I don't think it's cold pressed, but,
okay.
about tablespoon. Like you give somebody small dosage.
Just one a day?
1 tablespoon a day, or you could take it in a capsule. It depends on obviously the size of the capsule. And you get a huge benefit from that. And people start to see immediate relief. You know, like someone who does jiu-jitsu, you give them something like that, they're going to immediately feel the relief in their joints, right? Because
that's what I need, truthfully.
Yeah.
My elbows, they make so much noise since I started.
Yeah, so like something like black cumin seed is money for that. You know, obviously you have your like, you know, creatine, protein powders, fish oils, curcumin, glutamine, like stuff like that are based on, you know, necessity. Like if you take head injury, I think everyone should be taking creatine, but I guess dosage would be based off of like if you know, play sport or take headshots, you know, because I work with some UFC fighters. So, you know, being at Serra's, you create relationships like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the fighters, Charlie Campbell, who I've been working with now for a little bit over 2.5 years, you know, he's a lightweight in the UFC, that starting with him immediately, like giving him the black seed oil, he felt, you know, some drills that I had learned. So my strength and conditioning coach, his name's Will Chung, and he comes from, so his grandfather is Huang Qi, and he started a martial art called Tang Sudo. Yeah, Mudo Kwan. So, you know, Chuck Norris is a black belt in Mudo Kwan.
Oh, sick.
So give you like a frame of where it's a Korean martial art, and his background with that, and then learning, he was one of Pavel Tatsuin's first kettlebell students, and taking, you know, principles from his grandfather and Pavel, and like integrating that into strength training for longevity.
That's so cool. Pavel's dope, man.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that dude's a brick wall. Oh my God. Just swing and swing. He was on Rogan. He was talking about everything that he did. He was like super serious. He's great.
Well, Pavel's very serious.
Yeah.
But that's where I think, you know, certain people vibe with some with others and not, you know, and that's where, so like, obviously, I think I generally am doing it out of the good, out of my heart. Like, you know, you have people, especially like, you know, there's Sarah, you got UFC champions, right? So you're going to have people, oh, let me take a picture with you. And then there's a ton of strength and conditioning coaches at Sarah's, and they're all really good. And they're all really good. And it's like, oh, let me help you with this, because you're going to see gaps in these fighters' training because they're just fighters. They didn't go to school to understand nutrition or strength. Some of them did, but most of them didn't.
Most of them were athletes, and they got told what to do.
Correct.
The corresponding coach.
Correct. And so there's gaps in areas. So it's like you see a gap in a fighter area, and you're like, hey, look, you know, I genuinely would love to help you. Forget about the fucking money. Like, you're a professional fighter. Like, this is, and I think, and this is what's helped me with working with NFL athletes, working with UFC fighters, is understanding that they're just people. Like, they are putting their lives on the line for a paycheck. There's no guarantee of a paycheck. And that sits on the back of their mind. Just like if you or me didn't have our rent lined up. And I think people, you know, most general sports fans or people in general look at athletes and like, oh, wow, he's living his dream. I mean, but there's a price that comes with that dream when you have so many people put you on a pedestal. So like, I know obviously a lot more UFC fighters just training at Serra's throughout the years than I do NFL players that I've worked with. But I can tell you they're very similar in a sense of like, hey, it's hard to trust people, and those circles are usually generally very small. So when you can earn their trust and build their confidence in so like working with Charlie, he was having some issues that I gave him like one or two things that gave him such a big bang for his buck that he was like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then he was working with another strength coach at the time, and I could see like there was some gaps in what they were doing. And not because what the guy was doing was wrong, because he was doing, Zercher squats, which is very common in wrestling or jiu-jitsu. But the load that you're putting on a fighter who trains wrestling and jiu-jitsu and fighting.
You're striking, yeah.
Like, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know what you meant.
But also like then mixing all those things together in session. So he's doing his wrestling, he's doing his jiu-jitsu, he's doing his striking, and then he's also doing MMA sparring. And now you're like loading him up with heavy loads. The ability to recover, you're not helping him on the nutrition side. So the ability to recover is so minimal that he's getting almost nothing out of those next 2 days of training. So that's where I was able to just relate to someone like Charlie who, I trained jiu-jitsu, and I, now I'm in my 40s, but when I was in my 30s, I was, powerlifting in my gym and then go into jiu-jitsu I would do my workout and then immediately go to jiu-jitsu. And then, some of the guys would make fun of me because I'd, deadlifting heavy weights, and then they're like, oh shit, are you gonna deadlift me next? I'm like, no, like I'm here the point of training first the weights is so that way when I come in,
you're not using your strength and you're pre-fatigued.
Correct.
That's what Jocko talked about when I first started jiu-jitsu, and he said that that's what he likes to do, so this way he's not using muscle to get a lot of the moves and this and that. I said, oh, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I am a bigger guy,
I know you've laid across my chest. I know he's a bigger guy.
So you want to be technical. Obviously you're going to use your power just like small guys. I have to lean into it sometimes. Yeah,
my grip strength and just my ability to leverage certain areas. It's like there's plenty of times where I've had somebody's head and it started as a choke, but now they've either worked their way around. It's like, all right, I can keep sitting here and crank them, or I can just like try to figure something else out. I usually just let go. I just go, here you go. All right, let's just do something else, because I'm not going to sit here and just keep ranking on your neck for no fucking reason. If I'm not going to get a move, it's not actually a move. So,
So like that ability to just take, I guess small, I don't want to say like take what's given, but like take small pieces of yourself and, not overloading somebody and giving them like really good quality, whether it's a supplement, a protocol, or a training protocol that they can easily follow, and you're not like overbearing. It's, so we have a drill that's called the seesaw drill, where you're just in a squat position, you're alternating your heels. And
so like you're alternating your heels out.
So you're in a squat position, your toes are 45 degrees, and you're pumping your heels up and down.
Oh, just like this?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But you're in a squat.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it burns.
It's like a dorsiflexion reverse.
Correct.
That's cool.
But what it does is it pumps the hell out of your ass and your quads.
Really?
So someone with a lot of knee or lower back pain, you can get them to stable. Like, it's a horse stance that you're pumping. Mm-hmm. And you're getting a ton of blood flow into that area. So someone that has a knee injury, for example, you give them something to do. Like, this guy's going to...
Got me thinking about it now.
So what you're going to do is we're going to set up in a W footing. How we do W is we're going to go V, heels together, 45. Now A, heels out 45, and then toes out 45. And that's going to show you how to get into a perfect squat every time, right? So
that's cool.
So now... just a little higher, because you're going to blow your legs up from there. And now alternating heels, like you're passing air through a balloon. But like, so as one comes up, so you're passing air on a balloon. This? Yes.
Yeah, I feel it.
Oh, yeah, you feel it.
I don't want to sweat. I'm starting to sweat.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Like, you get people.
All right, Evan, I know you're watching this. Evan owns OG Training, the HIIT classes that I go to in the morning. if I see the seesaw squats, I'm sending him in for the fucking residual to check. I'm like, I send my man a check.
No, that's the Will Chung. That's a Will Chung.
That's
piece.
awesome.
That's from my coach. But that's where it's like, again, learning things along the way, whether it's the food that I learned to cook in culinary school, to the issues that I had with my stomach and how to adapt.
Well, it's about bridging everything that all the knowledge base. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do in life. Theoretically, that's really what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to take all of our experiences that we've learned, all the networking, everything that we experience and do on a daily basis, and bridge it all together and be one thing. That's what I used to do when I was selling at Best Buy a long time ago. There were guys that sold the upper tier home theater systems. There were guys that sold the regular ones, and there were guys that just were shitty salesmen. So I knew not to hang out with the shitty salesmen. But I would take the upper tier guys. Everyone sold differently. So I would literally just go hang out with one guy, then I'd hang out with another, then I would just take everything that they do that works, and I would adapt it to the way that I sold, and it worked.
Yeah.
So I got the best of everything.
But you also, again, you're putting your own personal.
Yeah, you're putting your own flair on it, your little spin.
Your personality, And that's where...
I don't have one of those.
Yeah, no, you have a great personality.
Thank you.
But, and that's, I think, obviously we all think it's going to take a lot less time than it does.
It takes time.
But I think that's the beauty of life, is like going through those things, having the gut issues, and sometimes it flares back up. It's like a reminder of like, hey, there's a purpose to what you have to do, not just for, financial benefit or to help, this person or that person, but how can you elevate yourself through that experience of working, with, NFL all-star or elite UFC fighter, or, one of I would say my best learning example would be my client Allison, who's my longest running client. And 6 years ago, she had a stroke and lost all function. And, I'll take a concept that my coach shares with me, and I'll share it here, and how I was able to help her. So our body, if you think about it, works like a kingdom. Our organs are inside like our heart, our liver, like those things go down, your castle has been taken over, and you're probably going to lose your kingdom. So our brain, our natural human function is to protect those things on a daily basis: drinking water, eating, sleeping, etc. Then our limbs and things of that nature would be like the people that live right outside the kingdom, like right outside those castle walls. If they get in trouble or get hurt, that can compromise the safety of the kingdom. So as long as you're taking care of everyone in the kingdom, everyone outside the kingdom, and even the people all the way the furthest into the woods, your tippy toes, because when we go into frostbite, first thing we lose our tips of our fingers. So someone like Allison, I had to just get her to connect to her
the dexterity back again.
Just to get blood flow in there by pressing or having her hold, and learning and understanding hey, you got to work in to out sometimes, not just out to in.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of times how, pressing heavy weight, sprinting really hard, that's out to in. And that's where my coach Will, his comes from a very long line of martial arts, but also practices internal martial arts. So he, uses the revolving door method. If you can turn inside, you're going to turn outside. So whether you're striking or trying to rotate someone and sweep someone, if you can do that from the center of your abdominal wall, you're going to have your legs are going to rotate much stronger, much more rapidly.
Because everything's connected anyway.
Correct.
That's why it's almost like flattening somebody out. You take a lot of their force and their will again, away from them.
Yeah, or just breaking someone's posture, right? Like
Yeah.
just holding the back of the head. You're able.
Yeah, I do that all the time when I'm in a weird position and I'm just like, okay, back of the head time. You know how many leg locks I've gotten out of? 'Cause I'm grabbing the back of someone's head. I'm like, all right, so we could either sit here all fucking day or you could let go of that leg and I'll let go.
Well, that person needs to work their leg lock
Oh,
finishes.
shit.
No. It's because here's the thing. That is a defense, I guess, but it's not a substantial defense.
I know I'm supposed to strip the legs and open up, but
It's okay.
sometimes it's not there. It's not there, but that neck is.
Hence the shitty white belt.
That's crazy.
You got to look for it. You got to be patient. You got to breathe. You got to relax. It's there.
Ryan, there's a lot. It's a lot going on right now.
A lot going on. For sure. If you listen, that's where like leg locks. Being at Serra's, you have a whole different appreciation for leg locks because a lot of gyms don't focus on leg locks like we
You're
do.
a 10th planet guy, they do.
Yeah, but even then, like, you got to understand the lineage we have here, whether it's Anthony teaching now, but before Anthony was Jason and Jason obviously coming off of not just being a black belt under Matt, but also training under the Danaher
Death Squad
group.
A Death Squad.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, I would say, was probably one of the staples in that group, along with Gordon and Gary Tonin and Eddie Cummings. As long as I've been going to Serra's, Jason's been going to Don. Well, not now, obviously, because he owns his own academy.
I know Gary was telling me he used to train there too.
Yeah, Gary also. Yeah. Like, so you're not going to see, even at a 10th Planet place, you won't see, they don't, I'm not trying to say that 10th Planet doesn't have great technique, but,
I'll say, we'll start some beef right here.
Well, it's not. I mean, I think the beef has been going on for years. I don't think I'm starting anything. I just think that, I mean, look, there's a whole curriculum that goes behind the Danaher system. So the fact that, we got that second hand through Jason, I think is a very rare thing. And now obviously you get it from Anthony and Manny and
Manny's coming on. Manny's coming on next week.
Yeah, so that like there's so many good people.
I rolled with Manny before. It's so controlled and relaxed. He's like just hanging out,
just him having fun.
I just feel like he's just chilling.
Yeah, I used to think like you had to, just try to be better.
Yeah,
but it's not trying to just be better. Like finding ways to, putting yourself in bad situations, but sometimes that becomes not fun.
Yeah.
So this guy, Mike Fowler, who was here.
Yeah.
So he talked about, not being a mouse that tries to like hunt the cat, not being a cat that tries to hunt the mouse, but more the cat that's having fun with the mouse.
Yeah. Luring it in.
Correct.
I've done that a few times now.
Yeah. So you're going to have.
You have to take something, by the way.
No. It's no big deal. Just
if I every now and then, like I'll give somebody the opportunity to mount, and I'll do that one where you send them right back to the same side that they went.
Love that.
Oh, it's so good.
That one.
And I've done the flower sweep a few times.
Nice.
Yeah, I try, but I'm always like they'll put a leg up, and I go, oh shit, it's the wrong side. I don't do that side.
No, but and that's I get again being a white belt, that's gonna. It's like, hey, okay, you got to learn how to.
I asked Eric how to do something on an opposite side, and he just goes, Nick, I'm a brown belt on one side. I was like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, so there you have that too.
Yeah.
I think, look, I used to think like, oh, you have to drill both sides, but that's not the reality of life in general. As a strength coach, people are always like, oh, I need to work both sides. No, you don't, because you don't wipe your ass with both hands.
Never.
You don't eat with both hands. You don't drive with both hands. You don't do a lot of things with both hands. And actually, the majority of the things you're doing, you're not doing with both hands, and especially when it comes to sports. So if you're a good baseball player, you throw with one hand dominantly. You're not like you're not throwing the ball with both hands. So the same thing with basketball. Like,
I do throw righty and I hit lefty.
Well, that's okay.
I can hit righty, but it's not excellent.
It's not the same.
It's not excellent.
And I'm not saying you can't build it up. So I have a friend who is a striking coach at Black House out in California, and he trains under Dan Inosanto, who is very into Filipino, is the guru of Filipino martial arts, right? So Jason teaches me some Kali. So
What is that?
Kali is like stick fighting.
Oh, okay, cool.
Filipino martial art. So you learn like, holy shit, I have so much more dexterity with one side over the other.
Oh yeah.
Now you're gonna build obviously the dexterity on both sides, and it's gonna help you in sport, but you're still always going to fall back to your strength side, your right hand, your whatever it is.
So I feel when I do the clubs, the right side feels great. The left side's kind of wonky.
Exactly. But if you worked the left side for a long time, it would feel a little bit better. And over time, it may come to a more neutral place. But if you did the same work with the right, it's going to...
The right's always just going to be...
Immediately go to a much higher place than the left is, just because your brain functions better on that side.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to understand that.
I'm trying to play into it.
Good.
Hey, man, you want to work good on that side? Let's just keep it on there.
But that's where it's like, don't think that, you know, you're a white belt on one side and a brown belt on the other. You're, you know, whatever.
Right.
Eric, you're a white belt on both sides.
Both sides.
I mean, let's say for myself, I'm a brown belt, you know, and I don't even look at my belt. Like at this point, even if I got a black belt, it doesn't matter. You know, there comes a point where you're going to get to, and you're just going to be like, all right, this is my schedule. This is when I get here. You know, I have 2 kids. So like I have clients out here, out East. Then those are the days that I'm going to Serra's. Like I live out in Hewlett. So
you're not going tonight, right?
What's tonight?
6:30. You going to tonight's class?
What's today?
Friday?
No way.
I don't know. I figured maybe you're already up here. You had
Friday.
Your mom pick up the kids.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Friday is like, hey, you know, family night.
That's
you know?
good. That's good.
So that's where it's like, okay, but tomorrow morning I have a client at 8:30 and I'll coach that client, and then he's in Plainview, and I'll just pop over to Serra's, and I'll get to Serra's at 9, like right away.
Cool.
You know, so it's like,
yeah, you gotta be able to adapt and just work it in when you can.
And you know, like my wife is the best because she's cool with me hanging out and doing the training, and obviously
She also has probably an understanding that this is your industry and what you're involved with. And not only does the training help you physically, mentally, everything like that, but it also is potential networking connections that you make over time.
Yes, for sure. I think, but like you said, the networking connections, but like for me, because I teach also, so it's like, hey, look, I'm reinvesting it into myself. You know, I'm not going to just teach and not continue to learn. Yeah. And it's the same thing in my field. Like I'm a strength and conditioning coach, but I have a strength and conditioning coach that's just way fucking smarter than I am. And I know that he's constantly growing and improving himself and digging into realms that like I would never dig deep into. And that's, I think that's what the beauty of this podcast is, or like what you're doing is like you have so many different people coming in here and giving you their input. And that's where like, why I said, hey, you know, I'd love to come, because hey, I had a podcast, and I had like Jim Miller, UFC fighter, or like this guy Rich Sadiv, world-class strength coach. This guy's a multiple world-time deadlift record.
That's sick.
Like this guy's 185 pounds, 700-pound deadlift. Okay, 50 years old. Okay, just to give you an idea, like world record holder. And it's like it's hard to like bring in people that are interesting and, you know, that you can connect with, because it's not just, are they, you know, what do they have to offer? What can they do for me? You know what I mean? There has to be some kind of like actual connection. And
I just like hanging out with people. I just like hanging out, talking, hearing about life, things people have gone through.
Yeah.
Because it's just, everyone's gone through a lot of similar experiences, but a lot of very different experiences. Yeah. So it's like we can co-synergize on certain things that we both have gone through, you know, like being a white belt. You were a white belt at one point. I was a white belt now. So, you know, things that we have gone through, we understand one another on, but like living in Alaska, living in the Caribbean, doing all these different things, forming your business, having to break down your business because of COVID, like that was me for a little while. So like up until that point, now we're back to that synergy of like understanding each other. And then obviously we go into different realms of experiences again. It's just a cool way to do that. And there's a lot of people that start these things, which you've seen. They start podcasts, they do things, and you know, you could, I mean, listen, and that's okay. You could, like you said, you could bring in very interesting people. And if the synergy isn't there as a person, it
doesn't resonate with the audience, for sure.
The people don't want to listen or they don't care. And it just is what it is. I mean, listen, I always use Joe Rogan as an example because that's the podfather. that's the man. So he's had people come on that just didn't work.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's just an episode. It's an episode. And maybe those people come back on years later when maybe they just were uncomfortable and they just didn't want to talk much or what have you. Maybe it was Joe. Maybe he just didn't fuck with them. Whatever it is. Like maybe they come back on or maybe they don't. But maybe the next episode was a banger. And like I go into this with like very neutral expectations. I want to hear about people's lives, the backgrounds, just hang out because the things that you've gone through, not only can that maybe help somebody that's listening and shape their experiences with something that they're going through, but maybe they utilize your services too. Maybe they say, oh shit, I need help with exactly what he was just talking about, or programming or nutrition or this and that. Like it's just a way to bridge the networks and get everybody closer as well. That's what I always try to do. I always try to put people in touch with one another. I'll give you an easy example. My boy Tom, who I was at his gym earlier today, the Julie. Yeah. Was at Tom's spot today. We were doing some content filming for All Black Everything. And while he was letting another supplement company know that he's not working with them anymore and he's working with All Black Everything, that guy just so happened to be leaving the company at the same time. Just happened to be leaving the same company at the same time. And the All Black Everything may be in need of that guy. So I said, all right, let's put it all together. Here's his resume. Like, let's try to just synergistically get everybody in tune. If it works, great. If it doesn't, no worries. We tried. Yeah. I like bridging the gap of networks for people. If somebody, I'm the guy that I hear somebody has a fucked up hamstring or I got a guy. Let me get you in touch. So you're not in pain anymore. Let me get you in touch with my guy. See if he could help you out. Or, oh, you need body work done? I got my guy. Like I'm the guy that's got the guys. And I want to always help people out with my network. And it's not that I intentionally build my network. It just unfolds because I like people.
Yeah, it's personalain't
Yeah. And there's plenty of people I don't fuck with that I don't ever want to see again. Yeah. And it's like, oh, your back hurts? Ah, that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I ain't giving you my guy.
For sure. But I think, again, it is personality. And I think that's how you're going to, evolve yourself by consuming all these stories and, seeing how you can vibe yourself in that direction and how it can work for you or not, or
listen, you take it every single day, every single episode, you take it with strides, a grain of salt, you have fun doing it. I did a live podcast at High Rocks.
Oh, cool.
Last Saturday. And
that's right.
I didn't know how it was going to turn out because I used this is my new board that I use for all my audio stuff, but I had my old board that I used to, which is still, it's $1,100 board. I had my old board that was more so for videography, photography, videography and cinematography, where like actual audio guys will have the boom mic and they'll just monitor the audio through that. I was using that for a podcast. So just because I love the clarity of the tube amps that it had in it and all the different features. So I said, fuck it. Let me bring that with one camera. Yeah. And I didn't want to bring these mics because these are too sensitive. So I bought two Shure mics, which are microphones.
That you have over there.
Bro, it turned out great. Yeah. Like everyone said they absolutely loved the raw, hanging out, chilling in the moment podcast. And I said, all right, I got to do more of those.
Yeah.
I got to go to events, maybe jiu-jitsu tournaments, stuff like that. Just hang out.
That's honestly, and also because you're getting raw emotion.
Yeah.
From like, hey, when you're at an event, your senses are way more heightened. So like now you're getting interviewed, you're going to give better answers. You're going to be more enthusiastic about those answers. As the interviewer, you're going to get better, better content.
And it's fun. Listen, like these are raw. I don't edit these. I've done, this is going to be 101st episode, 101.
Nice. Cool.
So out of 101 episodes on this, and then I had 11 episodes with my boy Tyler, and I had an additional 70 episodes with my boy John originally with our first podcast that we did together. I've only had to maybe edit 3 podcasts because somebody just said some shit that I was like, dude, I can't have that out there. That is crazy.
I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, this motherfucker better fucking edit whatever I need him to edit. Nope. I'm just kidding.
Nope, it's raw. It's raw. It's going out there.
I'm not worried about it.
Jumping on my table and yelling crazy shit. I'll be like, okay, that's getting edited.
All right, now I know how to edit anything out immediately.
You say something, you fuck up, and you go.
Yeah,
jump up on the
blow an ass into the fucking microphone.
Oh, no, I'm keeping that. I'm keeping it farting. I personally, that's why I've always resonated more with podcasts that are more raw, that are more just the camera's cut on. That's why we just started talking.
Yeah.
The camera's cut on, the board's, you know what I'm saying? Like the board's going for the audio, and we just have a conversation and it just flows into it versus like, hey guys, this is Nick and welcome back to Risology.
Yeah. Oh
like,
my God, bro.
I don't want to do that. I want to just be like, they're hanging out at the end of the table and we're just hanging out right here. So,
and I think this, honestly, like, so back to my experience of like trying to do a podcast, that's where I failed is I didn't have the connection, obviously, again, going back to connection of like being able to have a conversation with someone when you're trying to like worry if the audio is working in on a phone
because
call.
Every now and then I look down here, I check your camera, I check the wide camera, and I check my camera to make sure everything's still recording, make sure the levels are good.
Yeah, but that's also like, that's the thing is you, even though you're doing that, it's still because there is so much around. It's like you just tune it out.
Yeah.
Versus like one camera or the sorry.
Don't have to apologize. It's okay. Beat the shit out of that mic.
or the board being like directly in front of you and like you looking at. Oh, it's just like okay. Let me just take a look.
Well, I've had plenty episodes where I'll be talking for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I'll look and their camera is not recording, and I'll be like, great, great. You gotta get up. You gotta go.
Caught me monologuing.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. It's like, and we're back. Like, no, well, that's why you have a failsafe of a wide camera.
Yeah.
You know, I've learned to build these different things, but my last studio was way smaller, so I wasn't able to have this much freedom and space in there. So that was part of like the learning process of like this one. Now it's like, wow, okay, now I can actually have everything cohesively in like a nice area.
Yeah, but and you know, and not only just it looks better here, but on the outside looking in, the production level is much higher because you have, and you know, I think again, integrating your videography, you know, even though this is a podcast and you're a podcaster, it's like, no, you have excellent videography skills.
Thank you.
So you understand, like, you know, I went to broadcasting school, so you understand like, okay, wide shot, you need a headshot, you need a shot from here, you know, you need lighting to make sure my big ass forehead isn't fucking.
We have the lighting.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm shining like a fucking.
That's okay.
It's all good, but that's what I'm saying. Like those things that you did, that you're bringing in from your other experiences, makes this experience more potent, and so then this now becomes a greater piece of content for you to be able to use in other avenues, and is going to draw other people in, and over time, like, hey, and then. The next Joe Rogan, like,
hey, you never know, man.
And
I try to just set the expectation that this is going to be something great at one point in time. You know, I'm on episode 101.
That's awesome.
You know, I've got 2,700 episodes to catch up to Joe. Like, so because I use him as the truth be told, I use him as the benchmark.
Absolutely.
Not just because of like who he is as a person, but I mean monetarily, the caliber of guests that he has come on, and it's so crazy because I was talking to my mom about all this. I told you before we started, contract shift, different clients in and out and whatnot. And I'm coming to the realization on one front that I have to continue building my personal brand. That's really what I have to do. You know, even with my Instagram stuff, for the longest time, I only put up things that like I did with clients here and there. I didn't really just take photos to take photos, or take videos to take videos, or if I wanted to do a piece on one of the guys at Serra's and just say, yo, just give me like a little biopic or something like that. I didn't do it because I wasn't getting paid to do it. Yeah. And when I first started all of that side of things, it was really with the intention of this. I bought a camera because I wanted to vlog. I bought a camera because I wanted to do day in the life videos and become a YouTuber, and not necessarily like a jerk off YouTuber that's like stroking their ego. I wanted to share my people, my experiences, because just as I'm in Serra's now with the UFC guys and all the MMA fighters and the jiu-jitsu artists and practitioners and whatnot, just as I'm in there, my background was bodybuilding for the longest time. I mean, I was with Flex Lewis, Kai Green, Sergio Oliva Jr., like all of these huge fucking names in the industry that outside of that industry, people just think they're jack dudes. But if you're in that industry, you know that's a dude that I have to wait 2.5 hours in line just to shake their hand for 4 seconds. So I wanted to showcase my experiences with them and this and that. But then it turned into, hey, can you shoot this promo video? Hey, can you do that? Hey, can you do this? And I was like, okay. And so that business blossomed while my personal brand fell to the wayside because you're getting paid. You're like, okay, keep going that.
Absolutely.
So now, say all that to say, I'm back on the grind of we have to shoot things and do things because we're going to grow ourselves now, and we're going to grow our page and our channel where, I don't know if you know the Buttery Bros. Do you know the Buttery Bros?
Yeah.
So they came on my podcast. I'm very good friends with Heber Marston. Jules is their graphic designer, and fucking awesome guys. They're really great. Something that they said to me, which stood out to me in our conversation, was they said we were shooting for CrossFit Games. We were shooting for all these companies. And it's like, we just felt unfulfilled. And in certain ways, I definitely understand that because they kept just project to project. And then when there's not a project, there's no project. But instead, they took their skills and they created the YouTube channel. And they said, we're going to make a really cool channel where we do videos. And these brands come to us and go, hey, can we just sponsor the episode? Can we just if we send you this, will you be a part of the team and just like talk about it on your page? Yeah, dude. And it's like, and that's really.
I mean, look at Mr. Beast. He's literally just got companies throwing money at him. That has nothing to do with what.
Nothing to do with it. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be a Buttery Bros. I'm not going to say I'm going to be Mr. Beast. I'm not saying I'm not.
You never know.
I have no idea what in
you
turn.
Don't put yourself out there, you never know what's going to be.
Exactly. And for a while, I was just very cool with just working with my client, staying low key and doing that. And I still want my low key time. So I have the 2 phones. I've talked about that many times. Yeah. So I'm still very keen on having that side, but now it's like I'm back to the point of thinking in that Buttery Bros, Mr. Beast. Okay, we have to really continue to hammer this out, get interesting people, hang out with them, talk, give people value, and have them understand different things or teach them things. And then now do the live podcasts, hang out in the set, in the moment. I think the coolest thing about that live podcast was that you had people competing in High Rocks behind us.
Yes,
they were just fucking racing behind us while we're just hanging out and talking. And in a world or a sea of inauthentic human beings, just being authentic, being yourself, hanging out, unedited, unbullshit filtered. If I fuck up on a word, I fuck up on a word.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot that people connect with on that front because we're so tired of being fed
absolutely.
A perfectly glistening
100%.
Picture of everything when that's not the case.
Absolutely.
I say all that to basically say that.
No, but that's, I think, like you said, people want more real. People want more raw, working. So, and I'll just finish on this, like getting.
We have more to talk about. Do we have to leave to go pick up your kids?
Yeah. I got like 25 more minutes.
All right, we got 20 minutes. I wanted to hear about some of the stuff that you were doing for the food prep.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll end on that.
Okay.
We'll do a brief one, and then you're coming back for round 2.
All right. No problem. No, we can get into some of the.
Well, maybe I want you in round 2.
Yeah. All right. So in short, go not settling, right? Like.
Yeah.
So. Being someone that for a long time helped people cook or eat better. And then it was like, how do I utilize this like passion that I have for helping people eat better? Or someone would come over. Always, I'm like the house. Football season, Sundays at my house. You know what I mean?
I'll be waiting by my phone during football season for that text.
I got a brisket in the smoker as we speak.
I'll be waiting for that text like, hey, Nick, come through.
I'll bring you a nice piece of
I'll be like, oh my God, I'm already outside. Crazy.
Are you coming to class on Saturday morning? Yeah. I'll bring a nice
Done. I'll eat it while I'm getting my ass kicked. Matt will be like, is that barbecue sauce? No, it's blood.
But,
you were always the house, you were saying.
Yeah, just taking like that, even throughout high school. Like now that I look back at it, like high school, whether it was eating or partaking in other things, we did it at my house.
Camaraderie, man.
Yeah.
It's a tribal feeling.
And that's where I think, learning, it's like I had an opportunity to work with the Jets, okay? That's what I wanted to get into performance nutrition because everything I did with my cooking was to help me perform better, live better. And I'm a big Jet fan. And so I was like, all right, it's a bitch to drive out there, but it's like you gotta go for what you want, regardless of the situation.
Seize the opportunity.
Exactly. So I I went through the interview process. I got hired, but I turned the opportunity down because the money that we talked about this before we went on, like the money wasn't the greatest. But it's like, well, then how do I still keep the opportunity? So then I started reaching out to players directly, and because of that, like because I was able to like get on the phone with a manager or then eventually the player and have a conversation about like who I am and what my abilities are and my experiences and what I can offer, then that was like they like were okay, let's just figure out the numbers because we're like super excited about
That's
this.
awesome.
You know, and now, you know, whether, you know, and that, even though I was like working with Charlie before and other people, like that helps my buy-in with my other clients also.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like, oh, he definitely knows what he's talking
The portfolio expands.
about. Yeah. And so, you know, again, just like how much can you put yourself into what you're doing? I think that's the more I, you know, grow up and, you know, now trying to, I guess, created the foundation for my businesses, whether the strength training or the nutrition coaching or the meal prepping. It's like now I can, so like now, for example, I sponsored Manimal's event with bone broth.
Nice.
So like now moving forward, I'll like bone broth for his events. Like I know someone that I can continue that relationship with that doesn't cost me a lot, but I'm providing value. Some people may not understand the value, and some people be like, wow, this is great. And how do I get more of this? And that's where, again, you know, like just, I think it just like jiu-jitsu, it's a journey, man. You got to like go through hardships and go through shitty times to figure out like, okay, maybe now I can put my energy and discern like what I need to be focused on more than just like, that looks cool, like shiny, bright, shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I became very stagnant in my career path for probably the last 8 months. And the last couple of weeks have woken me up again to month. And it's really put me back in the driver's seat of just taking control, taking charge, and fostering those relationships. Because for a long time, I had a lot of people that I have networked in a lot of different industries. Mm. And I didn't, as a business owner, I failed myself because I didn't put myself out there. I was so accustomed to people just hitting me up. Hey, I need a video. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. Or, hey, I need some marketing strategies or blah, blah, blah. And I'd just be like, okay, cool. And like, if we had a conversation, we didn't follow up with it, I just kind of like, okay, they'll hit me up. They have my number. But you have to remind yourself that that's not being a go-getter.
No.
That's not, you know, championing your business. That's not taking it at the helm and going, no, like, I need to stay on top of this relationship and continue to grow it. And
so easy to get stagnant and comfortable, man.
So I'm glad that I've learned this lesson now versus another year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever have you. And then you're sitting there really just going, what happened? Whereas it was just kind of like a drifting period of, okay, we're shooting the same videos for the same company and we're doing this, we're doing that. It's like, great. I'm happy that the check comes in every month and it's great, but it's like, we're not growing. We're staying very stable, which is good, but not. So if you don't have 5 of those companies that you're working with,
yeah,
I mean, what happens when they go?
Fact.
And so you learn these things, and every business person has that pitfall that they have, that we're either going to take this challenge and rise now and change things up and do things a little differently and really be a business person. And not that you're going to be more salesy or whatnot, but you're going to offer value.
Yes.
Oh, you have a company. You have a business. Oh, you're not out there like that on socials or whatnot. We have to give you a name. Like, we have to put you out there. So this way, not only are you paying me and I can help you, but the help is actually going to be more sales or more exposure. Correct. Or your own podcast or what have you. So the new thing for me is getting back to that point of reaching out to people and like really reaching out, just being like, hey, yo, I know you have companies, you have this, you have that, you have this person that probably needs stuff done. If there's ever anything that I can help out, if there's any value that I can add, and in return work a relationship out where we're doing something regularly, let's do it. Because when I lost that, you lose your edge.
Yeah.
You lose your edge and you have to claw back a little bit to get it right back.
Absolutely.
Because there was a long time in the bodybuilding world, I was just so busy that, I didn't have to reach out. I didn't have to reach out to anybody. And skills or not, what have you, it's just like my name was at the forefront for the list of people to hit up. And it just happened that way. But by kind of just letting things fizzle out because one person or one company comes and they're the majority stake of your attention and you lose attention on the other ones, it becomes tough. So I'm rebranding the company. I'm rebranding myself. I'm not just doing the production stuff. It was Rizzle's Productions was the company name for a long time. I think that was cool for when I started. Now it's going towards more media group, Rizzle Media Group, because I wanted to, the whole drive is to be a group.
Correct.
Is to have people that work for me.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, you have a strength and conditioning coach. You are a strength and conditioning coach, but he probably fills a lot of the gaps that you have as a strength and conditioning coach. Whereas he may be learning different things that you know are beneficial to your clients. It's like, well, now I don't have to worry about that side. He's killing it in his field and he's working with me on this. So now I can focus on the things that I'm good at on the other side,
Correct.
Whether it's the chefing it up or the behind the scenes of networking and calling out to the individual players and whatnot. So having the team where everybody does what they're really good at, that is what scales a company.
Yeah.
Not me slaving away doing the shooting, the audio, the editing, the coloring, the drone work, the this, that, the relationship building. It's like you spread yourself thin. You can only be good at so many things.
Yeah. I think also along the way, whether it's a group, but, maybe having pillars in your life, like whether it be a coach or, a nutritionist, like you're saying, just being able to rely on other people because you're grounded in yourself also. You're not all over the place scattering. Because
it's tough, man. When I'm out at shoots sometimes and I have a backlog of edits to get done, it's like I know people hire me because of my vision with certain things, but if I have a team that they understand the vision, it's okay.
So much better.
Yeah, so it's like I can be out doing things and the edits are getting done versus, if Nick's not at his computer, the edits aren't getting done.
Yeah.
And that's a tough pill to swallow, man.
Yeah.
It's tough because you have to relinquish control to gain more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest part about being a business owner is learning how to work on the business, not in the business.
Yeah, and I've been in the business since it started. So I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, even with the podcast, I want to have a guy that handles the audio and the cameras. And I want to get back to doing the live. I only did a couple live streams. It was just way too much work though. Because this is enough. And then I hooked the cameras up to this, and I had this is my old office. I had my desktop here with the camera switcher.
Wow.
So every time my guest would talk, I'd switch the camera and I'd switch it back or I'd switch it to this. It was like too much to try.
That's a lot.
And I'd be reading the chats.
And you're trying to listen to the person.
Trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is like actually be a host.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it just became too much. So I'd like to have somebody that is off camera doing their thing, like a Jamie.
And you will.
Yeah, in due time. In due time.
Yeah, man.
How can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out, they want to talk to you about either your services or just see your page?
So the food stuff is Buff on a Budget. Because everyone's got a different budget.
I'm on a fucking budget right now. These prices are killing me. $100-something for a bag and a half of groceries.
Dude, it's fucking brutal.
I think peanut butter's $90 now. That's what I feel like.
Just to touch on that, like I think that's where my services are starting to be utilized more, and people are starting to realize, obviously, like how, whether you're in a combat space or in the bodybuilding space, like, supplements cost a lot of money. Food costs a lot of money. You start to learn how to like eat right by learning like, okay, this I can supplement with this food, or, like for example, the black cumin seed oil, that thing hits so many things. So like you don't have to take fish oil or other things that maybe like vitamin C. You
better stop whispering when you're giving
vitamin
gems. He starts whispering when he's giving the gems out. He's like, black cumin seed oil.
The black cumin seed Or like, for example, a liver supplement, like organ supplements, right?
What, Heart and Soil?
I go with Paleo Valley. They have an organ complex that I really like.
Okay.
It's heart, brain, and liver.
And it's good?
Yeah, I mean,
Do you actually feel a difference, or is it mostly placebo?
I would say I would definitely, so like as a parent of two very rambunctious boys, I definitely feel the difference.
And being able to still do jujitsu.
Yeah, like you can definitely feel the difference when you're not on your protocol versus on, like, for example, I usually don't do back-to-back days of jujitsu. So yesterday was
6 days. I was around 6 days, 6 days a week.
Back then I could, like 10 years ago, your age.
White belt?
No, blue belt, purple belt. But now, like, now it's like, first of all, I got to mind who I'm going with. And like,
yeah.
I'm
flattered that you roll with me.
Yeah, you should be. No, no. But, it's that because you have some restraint, like, dude, I've had to hurt some people, unfortunately, or just like completely walk away from rolling because I'm going to really hurt somebody intentionally. Sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes it's not.
I have to tell you that once we cut these cameras off, I'm going to tell you a quick story.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought. No, I'm kidding. What I was saying,
you can't train back-to-back days.
Yeah. So like yesterday I went to kickboxing and no gi, which I really hardly ever do no gi now.
I don't think never seen you outside of a gi.
So like Tuesday, Thursday, I'm teaching. So Tuesday night, Thursday night, I can't go to the no gi class. Thursday afternoon, I'm able to now with my schedule sometimes get over to Serra's. So yesterday I went and I did some kickboxing rounds with Joey Beans. And
he's a monster.
Bro, I just like everything hurts.
He's a monster, man. I roll with him and I go, please don't hurt me. I'm like, please don't hurt me.
Beans is probably one of the best people at Serra's, like long term, like has always been. Like there's people that like Palacino over the last like 3 to 5 years, I would say, has like erupted. But before that, he was like normal. Like I could roll with him and I could have an opportunity to like do anything. Now it's just not even fun,
The way he shoots across your neck with a rear naked, you're just like,
or your jaw, or whatever.
Yeah, but he got my jaw. He got my jaw on one, and my mouth was open around his thing. I went like this. I said, dude, my dental's not that good. Bro. We're not doing that shit. I said, I'll take the fucking tap. I'm good. Please.
But that again, so that's where you learn how to quickly be humbled.
Yeah, and I'm cool with it. I'm cool with getting humbled. It's cool with me. So it's just. Do you want to shout out the strength company?
Yeah. So it's just Lamdan Strength and Nutrition.
As I was about to say, it's Lamdan. I want to know the pronunciation of it.
Well, in Hebrew, it's Lamdan.
Lamdan.
No, it's Lamdan Strength and Nutrition, and I've been trying to be a little bit more active with my content. Now I'm working with this kid. He's a football player, so we're doing a lot of OTA stuff, getting ready for football. He had a killer baseball season.
That's awesome.
Won all conference. Proud of the kid. Yesterday.
Awesome.
Getting text messages.
Building up champions, bro.
Bro, I got a text message from his dad the other day that he's like, he's fucking mauling people. I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
I love it.
I got brisket on Saturday.
Yeah. So
I appreciate you coming through, hanging out with me, dude. For real, you're the fucking man.
We'll definitely do this again.
You let me know anytime. The studio's always open to have you come through, chill. Maybe we'll do a live event somewhere. Yeah. It would be great. Everybody, I'll put all your social links in the description. I'll put everything there. But I appreciate everybody for listening to the episode. I hope you guys learned something. Please share, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
It helps to grow the channel, grow the numbers, do all that. But for now, I appreciate all y'all for fucking with us. But for now, peace.